Calling all card fighters. We welcome you to the Dojo, a Card Fighters podcast. Starting now.
What's up, guys? My name is Nara Samurai, and we are back with episode 3 of the Dojo. Small hiatus. Our man over here has big plans. He can talk about it if he wants to later. But featuring today, we got Andrew Kondrick, one of Kingslayer's new members, originally Triple Sleeve TCG.
Yeah.
So,
thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I think this is my first podcast. I think I've done an interview before for Vanguard, but this is a whole nother level, if you know what I mean.
a podcast?
Yeah.
So you actually brought up an interview. Not to interrupt your intro, right?
Yeah.
But I did see an interview of you with I think Card Fight Coalition. Was that it?
Yeah. It was that, and when we were on Triple Sleeve, it was just kind of like an introduction to the team, and I think that was my first that was how they introduced me as a member of Triple Sleeve back then, because I think it was my first day on. Yeah, we just have an interview. You ready? I'm like, I guess.
Throwing you in the.
Can you talk more into the microphone?
Oh shit! Yeah.
You can turn it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
You want me to be right up on it?
Yeah. You wanna?
Hello.
What's going on?
Well, yeah, I can't hear you from the mic, so
okay.
I'm gonna assume they can't hear you there.
That's totally fair.
You can actually bend that joint, and it'll probably come closer to you. Like this.
Oh.
He wants you to sit up right
Yeah.
on it.
I'll get up on it, bro. If you need me to, I'll get up on it.
Little TMI.
But yeah, honestly, it wasn't a very in-depth interview. It was just kind of talking about competitive aspects of Vanguard and trying to introduce that to people that don't really see Vanguard as a competitive game, and just giving that window of the depth that the game has.
So when they gave that interview, it was based off the last Kingslayer event, correct?
Oh,
I
think it
Miami.
was back when Golden Phoenix was a thing.
I
Really?
believe that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
Yeah, it was
okay.
back for the Kissimmee events.
thought it was during one of the Miami ones.
I don't think so. I think it was a long time ago.
I think
No,
that was the GPG before they turned over.
Yeah, I think it was the last one.
If you guys
Full
hear any
extended
audio in the
universe.
background for today's podcast, it's actually 2 extra members. We got a future Eclipse member, currently the mascot. You guys may have been posting on Twitter calling him Moist Critical. No, he's Card Fight Critical. That's who we have over here.
Welcome, Charlie.
Welcome. And then following that, we have another member of Andrew's secret project team,
House Vanguard.
Alex Pereira in the background. Hi. Not sure if you can hear him, but he did say hello. So for today's podcast, last 2 weeks ended up talking a lot about card reveals, and I didn't want to put you through that.
Okay, that's fair.
We had a lot of card reveals, and to be honest, your favorite clan has already been revealed. So
Yeah.
Great
there's
Nature and Shadows.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
Shadows has always been baby boy, but Great Nature's growing on me, so.
I understand that. I know other people that play Great Nature. Not as good as you. Going to be totally honest.
I will appreciate that. Thank you.
So, in this podcast, we want to cover a little bit about tournament organization, getting ready for it, what to play.
Introduce me,
I will introduce you.
brother.
We're going to have tournament organization, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of the meta, where you feel it's at.
Okay.
What do you think may change at the end of Springfest?
Yeah.
And those are going to be some of the main topics. Now, in order to join us in this introduction, we do have our very technical speaker,
A familiar face.
a familiar face,
Not a familiar haircut.
third Team Eclipse member. Technically supposed to be the first, but he canceled on me last minute.
Wow.
Happens.
Nicholas Larsen. Hello, Nick.
Hello, everyone.
So, Nick, coming in here, you are a recent, or you've been playing the Dragon Ball Z TCG a lot more competitively.
Super. Yeah.
Forgot it's super.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you say Dragon Ball Z, people are going to... That's a whole different,
It's like a 90s
yeah,
card
it's
game.
like a 90s
Yeah.
card game. There's
Was
a
it
bunch more
Panini?
mechanics. Yeah, it's Panini. It's
Yeah.
a lot more
Junior.
mechanics that I don't know about.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fun. But transitioning from there to Vanguard, I know you did play Vanguard during that time before it released, right? What is your opinion in Vanguard? Like, do you feel it's more competitive? Do you feel like it's too luck based?
So I think it derives from which format you play, because premium is definitely more of like a more skilled format, and it actually shows in what deck you choose and how long you've played the clan. Whether you go into Overdress, I think Overdress is a little bit more of a luck-based format, because obviously the Overtrigger exists both in premium and Overdress. And so in Overdress, it's a lot more easier to hit the Overtrigger, and then in premium, you kind of show your skill with how much that you play your clan against other clans.
I think also on that note of the Overtrigger existing in both formats, like in Overdress, you don't have a lot of opportunity to play reactively to it. But in Premium, depending on the deck, obviously, like there are a lot of ways to play accordingly, like to have at least minimize the impact that an Overtrigger has.
So before we go further, I'm just going to adjust the microphone.
Yeah, you're good.
God, who turned this thing? It's not an ASMR microphone.
We can make it one.
Anyways, the way that I like to play Vanguard. All right, so
Draw.
I think we're gonna put it a little bit like that, a little bit towards Nick.
Okay.
For you may have to go in, but
Yeah,
at least you're in some way still staring at the camera. Apologies to people listening to this on
Yeah.
Spotify. We're just making sure that you hear what they're talking about and nothing's really cut off.
It's an early episode. We're still getting the kinks out.
Yeah. It could have came earlier and we would have done a test run, but nada.
No, man, I didn't want to come too early.
That's understandable. But getting back into it, you were mentioning that Vanguard, there is some type of a luck-based strategy, but you could use it in your favor. Not revealing a trigger, but you're able to have access to like other ways to process the game.
100%.
One thing I do normally say is Vanguard's not that far off from Blackjack.
I can agree with that, yeah.
I spend the majority of my time looking and counting the amount of times I see a trigger or a normal unit revealed from my opponent. I either add 2 or 3 to the count, depending on what it was. Over trigger goes out. That thing goes down like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The rules have changed because of that over trigger. I actually had to like make a new algorithm in my head.
Oh, yeah.
But that is my inner torture that I choose to do with the game.
Yeah.
Ultimate
Overtrigger ban, crazy.
No, so like for a while, like when I first started, when I played OTT as my starting deck, the way that I saw it was you have a certain amount of deck that you play with. So you play with 49 cards plus your starter, and you draw 5 cards. So then you're going down to 44 cards, and whatever you see, because you already know how many triggers you play. So you play 16. If you take the amount that you like draw from and all that, you can keep it very easily in the back of your mind of how many triggers that you actually have in deck and how many normal units. It's just like any of the time during Overdress and Premium, like if you're playing a clan that just is very hyper aggressive and you know there's a trigger coming, you can plan ahead and be like, okay, well, I'm going to hit it at this time, so I'm going to put it down.
Exactly.
For sure. I think that also, like the Overtrigger itself in the Premium format specifically, I think it really helps to like decide what decks are going to do well in the format. Like in my mind, to play around Overtrigger, I don't usually play expecting it to come off the top. I try to assume it's not going to be there because a lot of the time you can't really react on the turn to it. But by playing aggressively, forcing damage triggers early, pushing that stuff early so that they don't heal. Like I think a defensive Overtrigger is actually far more impactful than an offensive Overtrigger. Like in most cases.
It kills your turn.
Exactly. Turning off someone's entire turn is a lot more impactful than like, oh, front, crit, draw, heal, or even the like the Ultima Overtrigger. Like there's so many things that the Overtrigger does, but I think being able to just take a damage, heal out, stop a turn is so impactful in like a first stride kill meta, which is why I think a lot of decks like Nightmare Doll, Jewel Knights, like all of these very aggressive decks do so well is because they push damage early and kind of like almost isolate that opportunity for an Overtrigger.
So going in with like Overtriggers, you feel off defensively, it's horrendous. Very difficult.
Oh yeah, being on you're like setting up for your kill turn. You know you're gonna kill somebody, and they just go, "Oh, Overtrigger," and you're like, All right, I guess pass then.
I guess that's game because this was my kill turn.
And actually taking into account over triggers, there's not a perfect way to proc it.
No.
No.
There are decks that can abuse it, obviously.
They can use it, but they still need to see it,
Yeah.
which is the only issue. So like OTT can know that's on top, right? Neo Nectar can hopefully look at top 3 and see the over and call it and activate it with Sal. Another option would be just keep returning it back to deck.
Yeah.
Now there's only one clan I can think of at the moment that resets the over trigger, and that's Aquaforce.
Really? Okay, so I know Highlander Bermuda, there's a grade 1 that lets them bottom a card and then look at the top 7, and as long as everything's Highlander, they can add a card to hand. So they can bottom the over trigger off of that without you even knowing. Megaloma turn in Big Belly. If I'm holding on to the over trigger and I'll do my Megaloma like skip your turn play with the Spangleds.
Yeah.
If I'll hold over trigger all game to put it back, because it'll reset my hand and my damage back in.
You can also do that with Sipticom, or we call it tits, but it's Sipticom for everybody listening.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, because with that stride, whenever it's
I don't know why you call it that.
Because the first 4 letters is just, it's tits.
Yeah.
And it's just so much easier to say. So and if you tell them you're putting tits on the board, they're afraid. Because then you'll call that over trigger, and anytime anything's retired from rear, no matter how it happens, it's the same way like you treated with Tachikaze, where if you call over the over trigger, it'll just move to the bottom of the deck instead. Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to put it back. You just have to find it.
So I think he was talking about resetting power-wise.
Oh,
so
resetting the power.
Yeah. So Aquaforce, for anybody who doesn't know, Aquaforce has a stride and a grade 3 that's able to do it. And
Alexandrios, I think it is?
No, it's Valios Revive. So it's Valios Revive for the stride, and then it's both two of the Valioses for grade 3. The V version just says that like you counterblast, and then your opponent's Vanguard gets like -2 or it gets reset. And then the actual grade 3 back in G era says is when it's stride, your opponent's Vanguard's put at 11. And then the G unit says when it attacks, counterblast 1, you call up to 2 cards, and then your opponent's Vanguard's locked at 11.
Hypothetically, you play Kagero, you stride Novell. No more over trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's actually kind of funny you bring that up. I actually saw I actually bought it too.
Yeah.
Someone was showing me a Nova Grappler core as well as a Kagero core. And the Kagero core had like 3 Novell Vagues, the new one, so not the old one. So I had to pick up the old one. And then for the Overlord Koshin, the one the cooler looking one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all red. And like I was looking at it and I stopped for a second. I was like, can Novell even be like good? I mean, it kind of gets rid of the over.
It gets rid of that opportunity to defensive out, but like you lose so much offensive pressure on that turn that it's almost never worth it.
No.
Yeah.
You also have to pretty much be dead for it to go off.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So like there's all these like situations where Novell's kind of like worthless and you might as well just be on Draconic Roller or the Cross.
Yeah, because like the pressure of the deck comes from that 3 Vanguard stand. Like that's all you need.
So transitioning back from the over trigger conversation, that was a small hot take.
Hot take.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
I don't think we need to ban it in premium.
Nah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's worth being banned.
I think it's just something you got to keep in mind. Something that like I think it does help the game to slow down to a degree, where like these like helmet offensive decks can't do as well anymore, and it also gives a lot of decks that didn't really have like a kill pressure or like an out, gave them a way to kill. So I think it was like healthy overall for the game. Obviously, you go to a best of 1 Springfest tournament, you get over triggered. It's gonna feel bad, but as a whole, I think it's healthy for the game.
Yeah, I think the one trigger, as long as the game doesn't come to a point where it becomes a opportunity, like you can literally search for that card, put it on top of your deck, like.
Yeah, they made sure Ultima could not do that.
Yeah, we got rid of that.
So like any situation where the over trigger is no longer random, that's when the game becomes in trouble. And I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I was actually in the last podcast, we talked about how the overtrigger should just not exist.
That's fair.
But the situations for the overtrigger actually change because not a lot of people think the million power is the issue. They think it's the additional
extra
effect.
effects.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it.
But I honestly think the million power, like in some essence, if you're playing a deck that for sure needs second stride and like this person's just like going at you and you hit the over, you shouldn't bank on that. But
No.
it gives you a second turn.
It does. The idea of a fifth heal in the deck extends the amount of time you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
Like on average, the games are going longer because of it. Defensive overtrigger, being able to stop. Like I play Luard. Morfessa, bro. You hit a defensive overtrigger. I wanna cry. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
It feels horrible. But there are those times where I see it. It heals me out, or like it ends a turn where it's a double sided. You know.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But like, it's a double-edged. I'm trying to think of like what I was thinking of. We were talking about like the extra effects and all that, and the 100 mil that people think is the issue. So I think that 100K would have been fine. I don't think 100 mil because like that's an absurd amount of power to give something.
It is.
I
think
they
Oh yeah, 100 mil. They were like, this sounds good.
there's no way anyone.
I'm gonna tell you what they did. They were trying to find a solution, and the people handling finance were right next door. It'd be like, well, why don't you give a trigger that gives like a lot of power, like, and
Like
the guy
too
wrote
much
100K, right? But while he was handing 100K, they were handing the check that they were receiving, which was 100 million, and
Clearly.
I think
That's where all the
that
zeros came from.
the fact that it's 100 million, it's forcing these decks that like before the overtrigger was out, there were decks that just opted to not play perfect guards. They opted to not play sentinels. You're forcing the format to play 4 sentinel, like 4 full PG, because that is the only out. And I also think, like with the premium collection reveals, the fact that so many of these G guards are giving an out to seeing an overtrigger, where neg a crit, just don't hit. Like just a PG on the Shadow Paladin one. Like you're getting so many opportunities to have like an out to it in your hand as long as you hold it a G guard now. So I think especially after this premium collection, like people aren't gonna feel as bad about it because there's gonna be that answer always in the extra deck.
so looking at overs, right, and taking like the outside perspective of it, I think currently they're fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like some do have busted effects. Like if we look at the people that feel the additional skills effect. Example of this, right, would be Branke. Yeah, like Branke
Double
overall,
power,
just
double
pulling
crit.
that over is just
By far the best overtrigger.
by far
There's
the
no
most
debate.
busted over trigger.
Yeah, it's just too strong.
Especially
what
when-
it does. Yeah.
Dimension Police.
Oh my god. Dimension
Police, Nova Grappler.
Messiah going, oh, I have a 30K 2 crit Vanguard, or like the Volkswagen on the rear on a Force 2.
It's something that can abuse the restanding of
Yeah.
it and maintain the power.
Oh yeah, Nova Grappler hitting that is death. But there's also only 3 clans that can use it, so it's
Yeah.
like you can only be so upset because Nova Grappler and DP, I feel like they needed something like that. I think it doesn't affect.
I don't think
Joker as
DP
much.
needed something like that.
Well, like the problem with
I mean,
Dimension Police.
when does
was-
anyone want to take an Excalibur? Like,
Well, no,
You
like
never want to eat the Excalibur, Frankie.
so the problem.
You remember
the
that.
problem
I
with
do.
Dimension Police was literally it was I swing with Vanguard and you go all right I PG it, that's the end of your turn.
Well, sometimes you guard break, but like it's very dependent on the list.
Yeah.
But being able to like say no guard to an Excalibur and just go, yeah, you're not going to see 2 crits off the top of your deck. Well, now if they see 1 overturn, you just die, bro.
Yeah.
When that 2 becomes a 4 from 1, I
Sheesh.
don't like that.
so actually, now transitioning from the overtrigger conversation,
Running it
the,
back.
the extra
The
conversation.
extra.
Yeah.
I actually want to go into a little bit of like tournament prep, right?
Okay.
So you've been a competitive player for what, like 8 years now?
7, 8, yeah, probably.
8 years?
Close to
I
that.
think we
I
met
wasn't
at-
as good back then. We've gotten a lot better.
Mine's been about 6 or 7.
We were in
Yeah.
top cut at ARG.
That was my first ever event too. Like
Yeah.
not a locals. So back in 2016.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good. You were doing the regular part. You didn't do the
Yeah, no, I was
invitational.
Circus Series. I
Yeah.
That was my first ever event.
I thankfully did better than him. I got third.
You did. I'll give it to you. I was playing Raging Form in 2016 and topped.
What a wild like time back then.
Yeah.
Back in Gear Chronicle meta.
That top was actually during 7 Cs. And I think the
Yeah.
person who took the invitationals for
Kevin Russell.
was Kevin Russell.
Yep. Yeah,
Or,
he's my homeboy from my locals.
He's a nice guy, but dang, the first time I met him, he looked like Bobby Hill. Like,
Oh my god. Killing him.
sorry, Kevin. You're a great guy. You're a great guy.
Love you.
But
yeah.
actually, getting ready for tournament, like, what would you say is like your normal routine? Like, how do you pick your deck? How do you
So-
get ready?
For me, I'm a little bit easier in terms of like deck choice because I really only play 2 decks. I don't enjoy playing I don't want to play meta.
Unless it was given to you.
Well, it's not even just if it's given to me. Like the reason I play my decks is because I feel like they give me the most options of play reactively. Stuff like Luard where I can recur PGs, I can play defensively, or if I need to and I can judge a hand early, I could just send more Fessa and burn my hand to get to Ritual 10. Or like Big Belly, where you have so many options to build a hand. I could go multi-attack. I can G-guard, skip your turn. Like, there's so many outs that as long as I know my matchup in advance, I could play very reactively.
Uh-huh.
So in terms of that, it's usually just fine-tuning my list for what I'm going to expect from the meta. Obviously, re-sleeve before you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, make sure you got all your supplies. And I think a lot of it is very mental. Because, like, in a best-of-1 format where you're sitting down, there's pressure, it's very easy to misplay. And, like, I know I've been to a lot of events where, like, I'll sit down and, I remember back in the day, I was playing Luard with Spectral Diablo, and
Spectral
I forgot
Diablo.
Kagero could kill my back row.
Oh.
So I was playing against Overlord, and they just wiped my back row before I swing with the Vanguard. And I'm like, oh, I guess my Vanguard's not going to restand today. That's crazy. And it's just like little stuff like that where if you're not expecting it or you're not really thinking 100%, like you're going to misplay and you're going to lose a game because of it because it's best of 1.
And I think that's where like play testing comes in. Like most people play test just to make sure that they know the matchups, right?
Yeah.
But going past the matchup, do you know what you're doing? Are you always going to make that play? I think that's where like the repetition comes in.
Yeah.
To the point where you come and like realize that if I'm fighting this, I do this.
Well, and I think that's why, like, when you do look at, like, tops and the people that can recurring, like, get the top, like, Solemn topping 2 events this year already. 3 now?
So 2 locations,
2
4
locations,
events.
4 events, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he took-
yes,
it's just-
4 medals with him for 2022.
Crazy. He's on a hot streak. Granted, I think it was like a 17-team regional, but regardless, it's to have the game knowledge going into it of all of your matchups and still playing a deck that's going to maximize your opportunity to win. Like if you look at his team comp, it's very strong decks in the meta right now. He's not just playing something that he enjoys. Like he's playing something that's going to maximize his win rates.
Yeah, he went in with Colony, Mega Colony.
Yeah, exactly. Like knowing him, it would have been like Grand Blue or Great Nature or something. Aqua Force even like he had.
We're actually not allowed to talk about Grand Blue for a bit. We kind of made our locals mad.
Oh really?
No.
Oh yeah.
we have a good friend that doesn't want to hear about us talking bad about Grand Blue. So we're giving it a small hiatus.
It's a good deck. It gets some tops.
It's too good.
Too good. You're only mad about one card.
No, I
Which
can
card?
Sleeve
No,
tugging.
no. I'm not mad. I don't
Yeah,
think
you
that
are.
should be hit.
Naru Samurai's upset
Naru
about
Saru.
putting his bind back.
I
How
worked so
surprising.
hard for it. Okay. But back to tournament prep. Going in repetition, like we were saying. I actually remember talking to. He's a nice guy, but I forgot his name. The one who won with Blasters at Worlds.
You're not helping me.
Not helping. Okay, you don't remember that match, Blasters versus
I'm gonna be
Overlord?
real with you. Sometimes I,
didn't
just don't
watch
watch
it.
it.
Yeah.
You didn't watch it?
I feel like that's
Oh,
kind of old. Like how
Was
old
it?
is that?
I think it was like I want to say Miguel Herrera, something like
That
that.
sounds
like
right.
Right.
It sounds
So-
familiar. I've
tell
never
you,
talked to the guy, so it's hard to remember.
So
everyone's-
with my small time at CardFightCon, I'm actually still part of it, but where we haven't worked on a new project. In CardFightCon, I was able to talk to Miguel Herrera or I think it's Miguel. I want to hope so. I'm going to say Herrera. I'm for sure no, it's a Herrera.
Don't feel bad if it's not your real name.
Yeah.
If you want,
You were
can put it in the
amazing. I
comments.
rewatch your match all the time. All right?
I swear to God.
I swear. That's my mantra in the morning on Saturdays. For
Yep. Tournament prep, I watch that Worlds match
Yep.
every
That
time.
specific.
that specific
one.
match where you got 4 triggers and the last one was the stand trigger to win the match,
Sheesh.
man.
Good moves.
But going in, he was talking about how he would do everything in his power to find a match, right? Like he will get on Discord, he will turn on his camera. He would play with like the worst type of like internet connection.
Yeah.
If that guy couldn't do it, right? And just be like doing the match. Like just type in what you drove check.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. It's for me, not for you.
Yeah.
So like he put in so much work to get ready for that Worlds, knowing exactly what to do. And actually it kind of showed because
Yeah.
if you watch some of his matches, he does not spend any extra time. Like the second he has his hand, he calls his hand.
Exactly.
Hey.
Being able to look at your hand and know exactly what you have to do for your turn quickly is key for like a best of 1 25-minute round. Like if you can't slow play.
Especially if you're playing premium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much you have to do during a turn.
So that's actually a good tournament question you actually brought up, Nick. So we come in, we have premium, and originally there's only like 25 to 50 minutes in a round in premium.
Yeah.
But a lot of people feel with recent decks, the timing they spend on them, most generically, Grand Blue and Mega Colony or Order Colony. They want to increase the time frame for premium for any that's running a best of 3.
Okay, so
I think so. I'll kind of take
yeah.
the lead on this. So I think best of 3. The issue with it is that you're playing against you're playing like long matchups, because imagine that you're playing like an anti-meta deck that's known for going the long game, and then you go up against a deck like Highlander.
Uh-huh.
And Highlander, obviously, they have to flip through their entire deck. So unless you're going to come with like an understanding with them to be like, just call your card and go and search it. Like you're going to be sitting there watching them flip their entire deck probably about like 20 times in one game.
I think like after you reveal to them that all the cards are different, you
Yeah.
can declare that
So,
I'm just going to search.
I know at like real tournaments and like even Bushiroad, I believe that as long as you establish, because it's technically like an infinite, like
Yeah.
it's the
It's
same
like a
premise
loop,
of being able to establish something that is going to be game state true no matter what, and allowing that to happen. So I believe the first time you do have to like just rip them,
Yeah.
but as long as you're establishing that, and it's always 100% call a judge. Make sure you call a judge, because slow play warning is a huge problem with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
That's my problem. That's my problem with
Yeah.
If you-
past two tournaments.
That's where it's like a little bit different. I'm actually sorry about that. Yeah, I just know you're not getting caught by the mic. I apologize. So going in with Bermuda, I actually think it's a good idea to just call a judge and prove a statement, right? Can you tell me if all the cards in his deck are different? Right? And as long as that's proven, you can continue to turn. Spending 2 minutes to call a judge, or like 1 minute and a half to call a judge to confirm something, saves you 8 minutes of you repeating the same
So
process.
that's one thing too, is I think like especially like a Bermuda deck, if you're allowed to keep an extra copy of your deck list on you to just be able to go, here you go, that solves so many problems. Because you go, okay, first Q tier, I'm going to search that Aqua.
Yeah.
Now there's no possible way me showing you this deck list that there's a duplicate.
Yeah.
So I think that's like probably the biggest answer, is just allow them to have that written proof of the deck list. Because like if you're gonna cheat at that point, like you're going a little hard, homie.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you want to cheat in premium, you gotta prove your statement. It's so much more difficult.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people try to like pull a fast one in like a tournament, and then like you look at it and it's like, bro, how do you add that up? Like, there's so many, like, how do you say this? In games, there's like a log in your head of the process that just happened in front of you, right? The second you see something didn't add up, you have to ask.
Yeah.
And like, you could be wrong.
Yeah.
You get me?
No, 100%.
But like,
I think that's also something that we're kind of like more familiar with as like longer term players. Like we have far more experience in tournament. So to be able to isolate stuff like that where, oh, that didn't add up, a lot of players are just gonna nod their head and go, yeah. In a best of one, 25 minute, they're pressured. They're just gonna let stuff happen.
25 minutes, that's enough time. I'll wait it out.
Yeah, we're comfortable with that. But like,
Yeah.
I know, like, especially when I first started playing, like, there were cases where it's like, some sketchy stuff happened, but like, I just shook my head yes, and now we're past the point of being able to call a judge and confirming game state.
Oh yeah.
Is that why your old jersey said Roll Shark on it?
No. So speaking of Kevin Russell, okay, every Springfest I've ever topped was with Kevin Russell and my boy Eric, and Eric is the rule shark. He was the one that when I first started playing the game, he established always call a judge. If someone like his motto was like, if they put both cards for their PG in the Guardian Circle, ask them if they've confirmed their guard. And then when they've confirmed their guard, like the PG and the discard is in the Guardian Circle, go, yeah, take it. And then you call a judge and they take it because they didn't discard. They just placed the cards there. Like, oh, are you done? Boom. So he would make sure the rules went in his favor 100% of the time.
I can actually agree. I've seen some funny Roll Sharks. And I think one that's actually kind of funny is there's a lot of guard restrict decks, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I remember someone doing, right, is he was placing his guard like for 2 cards from hand, but it wasn't enough, right?
Yeah.
So he puts 2 and then he puts another card in and be like, he's put another 2. What are you doing? Because the card literally says when you would call cards from hand, you must
have to
call
two
2
or
at the
more.
same time.
You got to commit.
2 or more at the same time. So
Yeah.
if you put 2 in and you have another guardian to put in, you have to put another
Yeah.
2 in. So
Yeah.
if you need to put your 3 simultaneously at the same
Yeah,
time,
you have to
and I was
plan
like,
that
there's
guard.
no way a judge would have let that happen.
I think a judge would give warning the first time that happened.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh
Because that's
my.
a little bit different than like stopping your guard going, do you confirm what's in the Guardian Circle? I think like the act of placing, because nothing happens between game state. Like if you look at Magic, like if multiple things are happening at the same time, there and nothing's breaking, it's not really a separate action. So it's like hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to go, oh, yeah, he called 2 and then the 1. Like, then it's just word versus word. Like, if you really want to, like...
Yeah, that's why in Magic, like, that's why the stack exists in Magic. Because, like, as soon as, like, something happens, then it causes a chain of effects. And then you go, you have to physically confirm that something is happening.
Yeah.
Now, instead of, like a simple PG effect, like in Vanguard, is literally, like, you can say that you're not doing the cost if
Yeah,
you put it
exactly.
on the guard circle.
It's funny that you guys bring up PGs because there's a lot more G Guardians that are doing that and they're not Sentinels anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting.
So that brings like a lot of things to my attention because like I know some things say your opponent can't Sentinel from hand, and I'm like, you know, it's kind of funny that
stuff
before
like Monoculous Tiger, like it hurts the Rhino Zoa combo so much. 'Cause, like,
Our
they
own
could
Great
always
Nature
G-guard
G
it.
Guard
You guys
hurts us.
you guys must just hate fighting that royal player that can just go into Marin and then call a PG.
I mean,
That's fine.
That's the power of Vanguard is like you have these matchups where you have to know what kill options you have in the matchup. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just rely on being able to Zoa every round.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to like there are people that are going to be able to get around that. Like I don't know. I remember playing against a Harry deck that was able to pull a PG from Soul during the Zoa turn, and I was like, I didn't even know Harry had that, and then I lost the round.
Yeah, like Harry literally called a card and then calls a grade 2 that
Yeah.
says put something from your field into Soul, and I'm like, when the heck did they get
Yeah,
an
when
algorithm?
did this happen?
Like, I knew Nairos can do it.
Yeah.
But they would have to counterblast too and Soul Blast Foot. I'm like, if you did all that just to pop my rear guard, like, all for you.
Or even like especially Grand Blue because they have the G guard that can just call from drop.
The Negranora.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to know what your opponent's deck has, like even if it's meta or not, like knowing your kill option in that matchup is very, very relevant.
Yes. So transitioning from tournament to more meta play, right? You're actually going to the next Springfest, right?
Yes.
And I also know Nick is going there. I will not be because
Really?
Sadly.
I have work and they won't let me take it off.
That's fair. That's fair.
And no ticket returns me.
Aw.
Oh, yeah.
Wah, wah.
Which one is it? This one?
I don't know. There you go.
Yeah. So with that, I'm not going to be able to go.
Okay.
But I do hope that Nick does do well. I did hand him my deck. I also handed Richard for Team Kingslayer my Eradicator deck, so
Yes, very excited for that.
we'll hope for that.
Yeah.
I'm not spoiling anything saying what decks they're playing, but because you still have to figure out which one or which letter they are, so good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing, especially with
Your
like
seeding.
Team League format.
Oh
I'm
my
not.
god. No, your seeding is what
Oh,
matters.
I don't think it matters that much.
So
it's you could go, oh yeah, 50% of Gridora players are seat C.
I don't
You don't
care
know
about
that.
one. I don't care
You
about
can't
that one.
crunch the numbers.
So just knowing that the letter starts with a G and you hear the grr and the sound, you kind of can
You're
like
the
just
typewriter in the
assume.
background. Ching!
As every entry comes in, we're actually just fishing through it to figure out where
Well,
to
like
seat.
a lot of people they think about it and they're like, oh, we should put our most strongest player in Team A or
Yeah.
A, right? Me and my thought process would be like, forget that, put him straight in the middle, 50-50.
But the question is, what deck do you put your strongest player on? Do you
Yeah.
put them on that helmet meta deck that's probably going to get the win anyway, or do you give them the rogue deck of the three?
So this is what ties in Dragon Ball with me because I'm used to playing Team League in Dragon Ball. So we do best of 3 most of the time for our team leagues, but what you do is you put your strongest player will sit in B spot. But there's an issue with Vanguard other than Dragon Ball is because Dragon Ball you're able to like coach and help your teammate, which in Vanguard you're just sitting there watching.
Yeah, that's something I really hate about why have
It
a
makes you
team
wanna-
league where you're literally not allowed to communicate with the two people that you've came with.
Yep.
Like for that to be against the rules, it doesn't really make much sense in a team league aspect, other than the fact that they're giving you a pseudo best of 3, so you can't really complain.
Yeah, you're like I like to be able to help. So I'm one of those. So like in Dragon Ball, I always sat in the B spot because I knew like what all 3 of the decks that my team was playing, and then there was 3 like of the other decks, and as soon as they put their leader down, you already know what the deck was.
Yeah.
So it's just like if they put their starter down and you see what it is, like
Yeah, you know what you
yeah.
have to do to approach the matchup.
oh yeah, especially in like Overdress. Overdress is like an easy. Be like, oh, you just saw like a Lauren Roll starter get put down. You're like, well, you're going against Lyrical. Like,
Who would have guessed?
yeah, who would have guessed? But Premium is a little bit more like there's multiple sub clans that you can go into. So like obviously, Great Nature is a great example. We have Isabel, we have the Hamsters, we have Big Belly,
yeah.
we have Leopold,
We have that new polar bear thing.
Polaris.
Yeah, I heard people like that.
Polaris is good in V.
He's also not
Yeah.
new.
Yeah,
Kind of new to me.
yeah. But then we have Shadows, which
Yeah,
has
like
Luard,
see
Revengers.
Luard.
Yeah.
you could,
Revenger. Remember, we got Mordred and we got Raging Form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the pure Revengers, and then we have Raging Form.
I think it's the opposite way. I feel Raging uses all the Revengers and Mordred's like, let me just restamp Blaster
We're
Dark.
just like, you like V series?
You like V-City? I actually bought into a Raging Form deck recently.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Hot take.
It's,
Hot take. Revengers ain't that hot.
Like
Unfortunately.
Raging Form was like a spice of the week. It was literally like I can restand my Vanguard. Man, it's like I'm playing Kagero all over again.
Yeah.
At least he doesn't keep the checks. Like every time you have to ride another one. And like
Yeah.
Raging Fall, yeah, I can restand, but only restands once.
Yeah. It's not that good. I do have a friend from Triple Sleeve. I'm not going to name drop who it is, but he's playing Raging Form at Atlanta.
Does he share a name of an animal?
He sure does.
Oh, okay.
Who would have guessed the one other Shadows player from Triple Sleeve? Sheesh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I play tested with him. His deck is, it doesn't really stray from what I expected, but it did perform well. I think it's very much a meta dependent thing where like if he sits against a lot of like Nightmare Doll, he's gonna do well because he'll be able to out aggro. I think he'll be able to out aggro Jewel Knights. Anything that doesn't really build a hand early enough and will actually just spit damage at him. Because if Raging Form goes to 4, it's pretty much GG. Like being able to have that additional call on every ride is so impactful to be able to like extend the turn. But besides that, like if you know your matchup and you know what you're going into and like how much damage to give, how far you can extend, it becomes far less luck dependent than in other formats.
Yeah. So like going back to what I was saying seeding wise, like in my experience, it's best to put your you're more experienced player at B spot, but like since you can't help out, maybe you just put your more experienced person at A, because like the way that I was thinking of it is A goes your more experienced, B is a rogue deck, and C is your other like experienced player that you know can get a win. Because like what you're gonna do is you want the B person to be able to like play out as much as they can, so that the two outer spots just secure a win and they don't have to play.
Is it my thought process that I would just flip it just to like have like the most unexperienced person get like thrashed by the A spot?
No, well, because so if they go into a tie, it matters on what seeding. Because if A spot loses, then it's a loss for your team.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, why?
So in team league in general, let's say that if they ever done like a double loss for your team, your first seeding matters, because if a team wins, like A spot wins, then that means your whole team wins. So like,
But what if the other two lost?
But you still have one win, two loss. So in that table, one person has to win. I'm pretty sure that's how it's ruled, unless they're just
no. It's best of 3. Like you each have one game.
Yeah. So like, if A wins,
but if you run out of time, like
if like
Bushiroad has double loss, don't they?
Yeah, they'll give double loss if games are still going, but ideally games aren't still going. Like
I hope not.
It's a very fast meta right now. So
I mean, if they give a
hard.
double loss to game or the C spot and A one and B and the other side one, yeah, I guess that's where the question comes: who takes it?
It would be ruled as a draw. Bushiroad will rule draws in team league.
Okay.
I believe that's how it used to be.
That was like the one scenario I understood your description. I was like,
because like seed A can lose as long as the other two finish their game in time, but like you're also going to be the chance of like damage being equal after your overtime. Like you still get your 3 turns, so like for the game to go to that point and then it still be like tied is very, very, very rare. Yeah.
But like that's where I was going with Dragon Ball. So for Dragon Ball, if A spot wins and then B loses, or in the other way, that one of the two goes to time and then it's still no winner is decided. If A won, your team won.
That's wild. Yeah. That never been like that for Bushiroad. So that's very interesting.
that sounds nuts. I would like. I don't know, man. That's another reason why I wouldn't touch the game.
I played Dragon Ball for a very short period of time. It's a fun game. The meta moves too quickly.
It's Magic and Pokemon mixed together.
Yeah, and like that's also why I couldn't play like competitive Magic. I played Modern for a little while, but like Standards meta just moves too quickly. You have to like pick up cards and sell cards so constantly. Like same with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I can't.
Andrew is only in this card game because his Luar deck has not changed since 2018.
It's an investment. I got my one top at Air G Nats.
You cannot
bought
say
my SPs. I'm like, we're full in.
You cannot say that his deck hasn't changed because he put Heal Guardians in.
Yeah,
I'm talking the majority.
No.
Okay.
The frame of the deck stays.
The $2 heals that he needed changed to like a $10 heal.
I think that's what gives Vanguard its value, though. Like, there aren't a lot of games that can like nostalgia bait. They can't like you can't invest in a clan and stick to it no matter what. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, you're gonna be picking up a new deck constantly. Magic Standard, you're gonna be picking up a new deck constantly. Like even. Like I've been into Flesh and Blood a little bit now since like Owens is into that too. And there you do have like your one hero, but the meta is constantly moving, and there's always going to be a better deck. So you can't really just stick to the one thing you enjoy. So like Vanguard is one of those few things where like because there's enough luck in the game that if you enjoy a clan enough and you know it inside and out and you know all your matchups, you could take a dub. You could take a top 8. Like. I think all of my Bushiroad tops have been with Luard, and there are certainly metas where I got those tops. That deck was not very good.
The only time I can prove this statement is Ramada, the first Ramada tournament for Kingslayer. I'm sorry, Golden Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I went to Gear Chronicle and no one knew how to fight that deck.
Yeah.
Everyone hated it.
Gears
This boy over here literally we're like top 8, and he's like.
What?
He was like, I'm going to play it out because I want to see how I beat that.
Yeah. And that's like another thing is tournament mindset going into a Springfest. Like luck will screw you sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we have a saying where if you scrub out, you go 0-2 straight to the aquarium. Like the Atlanta Aquarium's lit.
Yeah.
You just have to. I think if you're planning on going to Springfest, go in there with a mindset of I'm going to have fun. I'm going to learn.
Oh yeah.
And if you get the top, you get the top. Like, ooh, a promo. Ooh, I get a medal. Sick.
Ooh, a promo.
But at least have that backup plan of we're not going to be salty. We're going to go out and have fun after.
Yeah.
Like it's very Springfest is very much a for fun event.
Oh yeah.
I actually came to that conclusion. Before I agreed, I would rather go to a BCS than a BSF.
Yeah.
Because in a BCS, I'm playing for a ticket.
You're playing for that ticket to Japan. Yeah. You're playing for... And also the merit of topping a BCS has so much more impact. Because you're in a singles event with 400 people. If you take a dub there, that's because you're just that good. Yeah. Springfest, I have 3 busted decks sitting next to each other. Chances are we're going to win 2 out of 3. Mm-hmm. You played 3 of the best decks in the format and you're all competent players, you're going to do well.
Yeah.
My one dot when it comes into BCS, right, is that I do not want second place.
No.
I want first.
You want that.
I want that
ticket. It feels so bad.
I wish you can get the ticket.
Bro, my best top at a BCS was Chicago right before COVID, and I ended up getting 4th place. I've never gotten my invite to Japan, but I've gotten 4 BCS tops, 5 BCS.
But you haven't gotten third.
But I've never gotten the top 3 for the invite. I've never gotten the first place.
You need
for the
3 or second for the invite, and then first gets the trip paid for.
I always
with
came
the
up
room.
short.
And you know how quickly I'll just go up to the first and be like, "Hey, you mind if I crash?"
Hey, yo, homeboy, can I just hang out in your hotel room?
I don't know you, but
if with the invites, as long as you can pay the trip there, you still get to stay at the hotel with everyone. They'll pay for the hotel and stuff. You just have to get there. They won't pay for the flight. So if you could pay for the flight, you get to hang out. Mm-hmm. Same with Worlds. So I think, that is Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I think the biggest thing is you find the flight, you get there, you can play, right?
Yeah.
But what am I playing for there once I'm paying for it?
Well, so now you're playing for an additional invite to Worlds.
Yeah.
The promos are cool. I think it's really just, Vanguard is not a game where you're entering to win money. You're not there to for fame and glory. You're there for the experience and because you enjoy the game.
What if I want fame and glory?
Well, this is why we have a podcast.
We're sitting here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
But yeah, I think Vanguard is. I would love for Vanguard to move in a direction of being able to. I don't want to say make a living playing Vanguard because some people can do that in other games, but it's very, very rare.
You can make
but at least there's no physical prizing
That's not like Magic. Magic is one of the
even
only
Yu-Gi-Oh!
premier.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Gives, there's money tournaments in Yu-Gi-Oh!
There's a lot of 5K, 8K. That's what I want in this card game. Let me transition to me. But when it comes to tournaments, my biggest issue is just what am I playing for here? I want to play for a 10K tournament. I don't care if I'm not receiving the whole 10K. I'm fine with 5K.
Exactly.
But I want to be able to enter
there
a
should
tournament.
be some kind of monetary backing to this.
Exactly.
Bushiroad has been getting by so long with here's a cool looking promo with a hot stamp. Do you like that? Oh, do you want this medal that we spent $30 on? I guess. Cool.
Yeah.
But
Can
Flesh and Blood.
Can I pay for my hotel room?
Flesh and Blood has $1 million circuit. They have a pro tour.
My
They
Hero,
just started.
The My
Just
Hero
started.
card game. The My Hero card game has a 500
My Hero
grand
card-
They have a 500 grand finals that's going to be happening in Vegas.
Yeah.
And that game just started. That version of the game just started.
Exactly.
I was literally about to
it
say,
was a
and that's a
pre-existing game.
subsidiary of a game. It's literally a pre-made game.
But still, it's the fact that other games are doing so much more in terms of a competitive aspect, and Bushiroad, it almost feels like they don't care about the competitiveness of Vanguard because we're getting best of one events.
Yeah.
We're getting Team League. We're fighting for promos. It doesn't make any sense. And I feel as a community, we should be pushing more for it. Kingslayer cards.
Oh,
Yeah.
1K overdress, $500 premium tournament.
That will change. Like I've
Yeah,
already
and
talked to them. They're like,
it's-
if we
it's
get the
constantly
turnout, we'll
growing.
increase it. Like,
Yeah.
like the only reason it's 500 is because before not a lot of people are playing premium. But like as of right now, when they weren't holding the events up there and holding in Miami,
We had a lot of
more people are playing premium. Like literally in between Tampa and Orlando, I think we've had like 10 people play premium in like that area. Tampa, there's literally 15 people that can't play because no one wants to host their premium events.
Yeah.
And then in Orlando, literally I'm getting messages like, yeah, I'm picking up these cards, but there's nowhere to play anymore.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what happened? And I remember, Richard's not even here, and I'm going to say it, right? When Richard was holding his Kingslayer events, his Golden Phoenix game events, no matter what, he was building communities,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't think House Rules was doing as well if Kingslayer wasn't around, or GPG.
100%.
Okay. Sunshine, I've talked to 2 people from Sunshine.
Yeah.
And they told me that ever since they kept closing and reopening, like, we just don't get a turnout. Like, no one wants to meet up.
I don't
Like,
even,
the morale has, like, died.
Yeah.
But, like, they're
COVID
playing.
hurt a lot, but
Oh, yeah.
I think Sunshine is my locals from Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I was one of the driving forces in pushing people into premium, like, introducing them to the format. Like, I had the shop owners. I had people, like, constantly there till, like, 5 a.m. play testing. And, like, we were going to, like, the BCS. We were going to the Springfests. And, like, everyone was really into it. And then COVID hit, and they closed the shop. And, for a period of time, it made sense. Like, we didn't have vaccines, like, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
There was nothing keeping us from not just staying in the house.
So,
But-
actually, going with the COVID thing,
Yeah.
I would still bring a mask, but supposedly
Oh,
you no longer have to wear a mask at the airport.
Well, airports.
Yeah,
you
airports
don't
you
have
don't.
to.
But on
I
the
believe
flight
at
is what I'm talking
Bushiroad
about.
you still need.
Yeah.
No, they were
wear a
mentioning
mask.
because like they made like there was like a bunch of like airlines last night like announcing on the flight that as of blank this morning, right? Yeah, they were super excited. Like one guy was like grabbing a bag.
They throw their mask. Just
That's exactly what they're doing. They grabbed like the bag, they like moved it around to catch some air, and then they like dropped it down and be like, "That's air, baby." And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I mean, people are a little excited to take the masks off, but like you still get
just
sick,
set
bro.
flame
no,
building
you
masks.
definitely like you choose where to go with your caution,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you feel you're more safe with a mask, wear a mask. I mean, I know a lot of people that wore it before COVID.
I know people that will 100% of the time wear their mask. I know people that don't wear it at all. I know people that haven't gotten vaccinated or who have gotten vaccinated.
That's-
Everybody, all of these people in this community, like for Vanguard, they still want to be able to go to events.
yeah.
Like, I understand like the vaccine requirement for Bushiroad, but I
So,
also think it's
which
like,
changed 3 times and it's gone a
Exactly.
lot more like lenient.
it's getting laxer.
Yeah.
like literally week by week.
So
which makes
the
no
first
sense.
time they're like, "Oh, if your vaccine was 6 months old after being
Yeah.
fully vaccinated,
better
you
have a
need the
booster.
booster." And then I lost it because I'm like, I technically can't get the booster.
Yeah.
So like all I have is my full vaccine.
Yeah.
And then I think last week I rechecked it because I'm like, there's
Yeah,
no way
yeah,
they changed
they
it.
dropped the
right?
they dropped the
And
booster
then
requirement.
they're like, you just need a fully vaccination. And I clicked on the thing. It says, well, fully vax says the dose. So
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
I personally don't understand why they're so forceful about that, where you can't attend an event because this is like the vaccine is for your own safety. It's
Yeah.
like you don't want to be hospitalized, you don't want to have a bad outcome from catching COVID. You get the vaccine, but it doesn't really affect the people around you. You could just be a carrier. You could still be just as contagious. So the aspect of forcing someone in order to play the game where you're already having no like real reward for going.
Yeah.
You're going because you enjoy the game. And to just kind of like gatekeep people, I don't think it makes sense because they're putting themselves at risk regardless. But
I think the bigger issue is that over in Japan, like everybody wears masks. I think it's even in public events before we even had
Oh,
COVID.
yeah, 100%.
Everybody was wearing masks to events.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Bushiroad came up with the requirement. And then
Yeah.
as they saw that like more and more events were just like going on where nobody was like getting like COVID out of it, then they were like, okay, we can start like
yeah.
like going off. If you want to wear a mask at the event, I would say wear it because if
Well, I think you have to. That's the one thing they require.
yeah.
Yeah, Bushiroad's up on that. But like other card games have no requirements for vaccine, no mask requirements.
No.
Like
Well,
one-
it
no one
depends
else
on the
seems to
state
care.
because YCS, I do believe like
Well, yeah,
in
if you have-
Chicago they require the mask.
Yeah, like state laws, some places require it, but like especially Florida, like Atlanta, like there's no state laws requiring any of that.
You're actually not. It is in your best interest not to reveal your vaccine card to anybody in Florida.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in a sense that is a legal document of your like medical records.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think it has your social and stuff on it.
I don't think so. I think it just has your date. that you
So
took
it
on.
has. So I got mine from Disney. I work at Disney, and I started working at Aquatica now. So your vaccine card, depending on like where you work, has your information.
Yeah.
And you can say what gets put on it.
Oh, okay.
So I believe it has the slot for everything, but you
Yeah.
can say like that doesn't need to be filled, like
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, like I
So-
got mine at Publix. I've looked at the card each time I handed it to them. They're like,
Yeah.
"You shot me up. Let's go. Sign it. Give me the permission slip for BCS."
Yep.
give me the stamp,
Yeah.
the golden ticket.
But yeah.
But like they got more lax, so like it got better, and it's more capable for people to go.
Yeah.
I understand wearing a mask, like you just want to be reassuring. I mean, Japan's lucky they have like that shield in between the other two people
it's
playing.
just like literally set up like right there.
You
yeah,
get the bulletproof glass in between.
You're
just
sitting.
in case
You're
someone
sitting in
tries
like
to
a
send you to the shadow
classroom
realm.
desk, like playing. You're sitting in like a test.
I feel like I would be like a total child with that thing in front of me. Like I would look and see how like it's like put onto the ground and be like,
Yeah.
"Daddy."
you would try to like go and touch somebody's car and just accidentally like, oh god.
I would pull the like I would
Slam my over trigger against the glass.
I'll pull
Drive
like
check.
You
being
like
the
that?
meeting a person in prison, like grabbing the phone and being like, "Hey, so how's life there?"
Hey, so my drive check was an over trigger and a heel trigger.
But going in, we see that tournaments are a little bit more getting better. We just got the BSF, which is giving, I guess, Bushiroad an idea of how to go forward with BCS coming forward. And that's actually what I'm more interested in, right?
Oh,
The
yeah, for
BCS.
sure.
Because that's when champions going in. You find out who's going to Worlds. You can watch Worlds on YouTube. Like, that was the fun of Vanguard.
I don't know why we don't stream BSF. Like, I feel like it'd be pretty exciting.
Well, I
would
think
be
it'll
pretty
be
cool.
It'll be fun to just see top table, like
Yeah.
either top tables or like top 8. That's it.
Well, I was always like a proponent of, your table one seating should just have a stream setup. Like, why not have, like, it's free advertising. There's no point in not doing
Yeah.
it. Like, they have the means to do it.
You also don't even have to do table 1. You can just be like, all right, table 12, come over here.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Be like,
Table 12, B players, come over here.
Hey, it's not even that too. Like they'll pull the whole table, like, and
Yeah.
they'll spread them out to where like the stream will be on one person.
And
the
they
other-
run 3 streams? Yeah, okay.
No, they're running
Yeah,
one
they'll
stream,
just
but
choose
they're
one game.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just have everyone
more than
over
likely
there.
it's going to be one of the side people. They're not going to pick the middle because that's going to be kind of awkward to like
Yeah.
have a whole setup like there, and then your people are like 10
Yeah, I
feet away
remember
from you.
Richard did his team tournament in Miami.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not gonna
call-
lie,
I-
the stream setup for that was a little rough.
Yeah.
I had a very hard time figuring out what was happening.
I
The
gave him a
team
call.
Names were slightly racist.
The team names were slightly.
Just kind of
slightly.
like I didn't, but it was the Vanguard needs more, I guess, interaction online. Like I've always been a proponent for that. I love like especially like having the podcasts and stuff like where you have like the setup here to be able to play a game of Vanguard right now and people could watch anywhere.
Yeah.
And you don't get that. Like Vanguard is one of those games that have so little like resources online. Like yeah, you have Decklog now,
Yeah.
but like before Decklog, it was
Oh my God.
okay. Sometimes I'll
Writing
watch
out your
Team
decks.
Absolution play. Sometimes they'll talk about Vanguard for an hour a week. like,
Nexus Corps.
I
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
think whatever you started using to like learn Vanguard was like your character throughout the rest of the way through. Like
Yeah.
I remember watching a channel called The Card Fight Capital, and he never did a deck profile. All his videos were him getting the next set,
yeah.
opening it and like ripping it. Like you didn't hear the rip. He would be like there. He would grab.
Homeboy had no audio.
No audio.
No, it had audio, but like he would just stack them on the corner, get the scissors, cut all the way through. I think he damaged like one card doing this.
yeah.
And then like he'll just go through the cards, revealing it, and then be like, I should make some good money off this. And I'm like, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
There was a channel that honestly was like my personal favorite. I cannot remember the name of it for my life, but they would play a game of Vanguard, but they would kind of do it like Jersey Shore, where like between turns they'd have like that one-on-one interview.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because there's only one guy that did it, and they did it so well.
And they don't do it anymore.
No.
And I know they're from Europe for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
That's such
but
it was such a good format. Their scripting was done so well because they obviously played the game in advance and then they added it
total
later.
drama card.
But it was
so
cool.
good. They had like a little area in the corner of like the school with the stool.
Yeah.
School. And
they just
they were like,
they'd be like,
yeah,
I know
when he
I'm
went
doing
in for that match, I actually wasn't expecting him to go into this route, but like, you know, he did it anyway.
Total Drama Island.
Yeah.
Exactly. No. If you guys want to do that, we could start working on that project.
So
Next
cool.
podcast.
Okay. Well, I don't know because this man's going on his government trip.
Yeah, I got a military contract.
Are you coming back though?
I'm only gonna be 6 hours away, and I'm gonna have weekends off, so I'm gonna drive down as often as I can.
Okay, so
And,
we
like,
got
I'm
we
still
got for
gonna-
the weekend.
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
So
You guys get weekend visitation like a stepdad does.
I get to have them on the weekends. Yeah, you'll have them during the weekdays.
Yeah. I also, not to plug another podcast, but Richard, his Kingslayer
King's
Court.
Court.
Yeah.
He wants me to start being on that like weekly. So I'm very
cool.
excited for that.
That's gonna be online now.
Yeah, I guess,
Okay.
or at least I'll be. I know for the Atlanta weekend, he said we're gonna do one in person, but they want me on Discord, and I think also Marshall, Discord to be able to talk weekly.
All right, you guys get that
be
virtual podcast. I'm more of like the in-person thing.
Oh, no,
Like,
I
want the like
The,
general
the,
setup
the
here.
atmosphere here, I think is really cool. I think that's probably the biggest standout about this versus like other like Vanguard podcasts.
We've been really working on this for probably about a few months now.
Oh man, yeah. My wallet's been working on this for a few months now.
Yeah. It's very cool.
That's my one thing, right? Like I saw great people doing podcasts for Vanguard, like Nexus and I. Drive Check. Hope you guys are doing well in your new podcast because they now are in Flesh and Blood.
Okay.
And doing like Bandhammer, I think.
Okay.
Is their new podcast? But I always wanted a podcast, but in no way, shape, or form did I want to Discord somebody.
Yeah.
Because like my number one like peeve about it would be like this guy has a microphone on his computer,
Yeah.
or he has a condenser while I have a dynamic, right? Like we're not gonna sound the same. We're not
Pick
gonna.
up audio like
It's
around
not
them.
as
Yeah.
an intimate experience
Yeah.
as like being able to sit at a table and just have like a natural conversation. You don't have that through Discord.
Imagine me having to upload a video and the guy's dog is barking in the background. Like who
You
wants to
can't-
listen to that?
Yeah, you can't really
Granted,
do anything about
with,
that.
with the King's Court,
Yeah.
like, I have my stream set up. I sound decent. So I don't think that's going to be like a
that
big
works,
concern.
but like the person that you're interviewing or the
Yeah.
person that is going to be your guest, right? You know that they're not going to take everything in consideration.
Yeah.
They just know they're a guest. They're coming on, right? If you know you're going to be like a current or a constant like reappearing host or assistant for it, right? You make sure you're ready. Close the room, close the door, fix up your audio settings. I know you have a microphone.
Yeah.
Right? And you go from there. You put your condensers on, you put your noise gate, and you sound the best you can be, like an angel in the sky. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And then you do your podcast with your friend on Discord.
Yeah.
But where that works mainly is for the group, right?
Yeah.
The constant group that's going to
Yeah,
be
if
there.
you have one set group of people that you're always going to have.
yeah.
And for like, in my point of view, I would rather get it for like the interview. Like if I can bring the person in for an interview, I'll totally do it.
Yeah.
If Philip from Top Deck Heroes, if Orange, heck, if DF ever came to the States, I'll be like, hey man, I'll pay for your trip. Come to Florida. We get an interview going on. Right?
Yeah. You could crash in the spare bedroom, you know?
Yeah.
Just
you can,
chill, bro.
You can crash in my bedroom. I have like, that turns into a bed, that turns into a bed, that over there turns into a bed. Bro, I have a shuttle shovers here, okay? Like,
Yeah. See, and
On the podcast.
with House Vanguard, that's something like we never turned it into a podcast. We had always talked about like wanting to turn it into like entertainment, like online. Like
That's
we
how
talked
you're-
about a TikTok, we talked about a podcast. We just never committed to doing it. But like we've had people like from Cali, from Philly, like Triple Sleep members fly down, spend the weekend with us, run the gauntlet of everybody's decks in the house, and like that experience is just so much fun.
and that's
So, like-
actually a future project I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is my dream project. I want to get a place near an event series. So, like, Georgia will most
Yeah.
likely be it unless they start doing them every time at Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I would want to get somewhere close to where the event will be, and I want to do like I want to get the house, like have a house that can house a lot of people. Have you ever seen what's it called? It's the Smash Bros thing.
Oh, like Smash House.
Smash House, yeah.
Like
I just
house.
yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be so cool.
And like you just tell people it's like, hey, don't worry about a hotel. We got the
you turn it
Vanguard
into a
thing
stream house
right
for
here,
a weekend.
and you literally like you all bring your cards. You see how many people need a car, and like some people can leave their car there.
Yeah.
And they don't have to.
Pretty sure that's how Sky got canceled.
We don't talk about Smash. We don't talk about Sky.
What, I don't know anything about that.
The Smash community, hot water, baby.
Maybe
But,
not the best comparison.
No.
But so like what you guys are talking about, two of my friends who play in Super, they're called the Hill Twins. They do their own. It's called House of Hype, where they have their own tournament in their house.
That's so cool.
And literally, it's like them just testing out their decks, and it's
Yeah.
literally just them streaming, and it's a knockout series. So
Okay.
basically, if you lose, you get knocked out, and somebody replaces you, and
Yeah.
you keep going.
And like you get kicked out of the house.
No, that would be extreme.
Bro, I would totally do that.
Oh, but Trigger, get the hell out of here.
Drama Island, but with card fight.
Yeah, total
Yeah.
drama card fight.
But yeah, no, I like that idea of like being able to invite everybody over, like have that stream going, or like that friendly tournament where like you're all just gonna be there for a good time and like be able to play the game, and like especially with people that like you don't get to hang out with very often. I like back when we had ARGs. Me and Noman, like he would drive down to Florida and then hang out with us in the hotel for a weekend, and like that's like you only see these people when you go to regionals.
Yeah.
And to have that experience is so much fun.
Yeah, going in to meet people that you've been chatting with online, like
Yeah.
and like finally like seeing them. Like example is like the last Kingslayer that was in Ramada, right? Like I used to chat with everybody online in the Vanguard community. Like when I was in Carf, I kind of just started like being more casual to like speaking with them,
Yeah.
right? I talked with Philip, Alex, both from Top Deck Heroes. I talked to Sean winning Image. He used to be on your
Sean's
team.
the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
That was actually what the interview was. It wasn't Cardfight Coalition. It was
Yeah.
it was for Cardfight Con. And Sean didn't do the interview because he was already on Triple Sleeve. It'd be
Yeah.
kind of weird. But it was like Cardfight Con especially is such a cool idea. And like I wish that the community would be able to do more stuff like that.
Yeah. And like that's actually what I want to start being a community member that builds ideas for the Vanguard community, right? But like financially that is impossible.
Exactly. Like time and money, like contributions to stuff like that. Like I know Crow runs his Crow's Nest in Atlanta now. Like he's like the pinnacle of like Atlanta card fight in terms of organizing events. Like he's the reason they have Vanguard.
Yeah.
Like they don't have events otherwise.
Does he run his own shop or?
No, he runs it out of a shop. He usually gets like monetary support from like Triple Sleeve, or like I know he's been getting donations from people in the community to make a pot bigger.
Crazy. Yeah.
So like his one coming up, he just announced that it went from 400 to 500 because another person just went, I'll add to the pot. I'll make this event bigger. And like he's taking the bulk of like I'm gonna run this event. I'm gonna make sure it moves smoothly, but to be able to have that commitment and like push the community further, that's what Vanguard needs.
Yeah.
Like we can't rely on Bushi Road events like
Yeah.
zero support. Like it's just I wish Bushi Road would like care more.
That's like,
And like that's where like the take I come in is like, do they care less? Like no, they don't. Like they
don't-
support the community. They listen
they?
to our arguments, right? Like we need a Daimonis hit, they did it, right?
Yeah.
So like in terms of
there was
like
a lot,
card
there was a lot of
mechanic,
things
right?
being complained
That-
about back then.
That deck
Yeah.
hung out way too long.
Oh yeah.
Assassin stayed at 4 for way too long.
And you played it.
I did. I'm not gonna lie, and I sold it 2 weeks before that got hit because I knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that's where like the dots of where does Vanguard stand? Like I understand, like they're still they only been around for 10 years. It's hasn't been 20.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not the amount that Yu-Gi-Oh's been around, but like I think like around this time Yu-Gi-Oh was hosting bigger events.
Yeah.
Right. Like have you not seen their finals? Like, they
peak
put
of YCS was like 2010, 2012.
Yeah,
Like,
that was like big XE format.
yeah.
That
But
was-
you guys remember like YCS, like you go into finals, they put them in a little circular dome area. Everyone's around you playing. Like,
Back
yeah,
then
the pressure's
they
on.
would have that stuff online. Like you'd be able to watch YCS. Like we still don't have that for Vanguard. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like we need more people outside of like I know a lot of stores take a bunch of risk running tournaments, but like Pro Play Games is like one of the bigger like things that run a bunch of events. They have their Pro Play Tour, which is obviously what Richard's doing now.
Yes.
With
For
like
Vanguard.
for Vanguard.
Pro Play does run for Vanguard, but like they're able to run these tours because of the support from Bandai.
No, they have like everything. So like they have Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, Magic, like it'll run on different days. But we need like a lot more people that will just like step up to run tournaments, because the problem that I think people come to now is they go, well, is it worth it? And then you should go, well, if you want to keep the community alive, then it should be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the fact that, like, especially for premium, like when we first had that split of formats to 3, and like you always went on Vanguardians and you had that issue of G Series better. Screw premium, we can't have 3 or we can't have 3 events in a weekend. And like people were taking their sides.
Just say take V Premium out. That's the one that takes less damage.
Exactly. But like
I'm fine with the support. Just don't make the format.
The idea of like Bushiroad, like not really supporting their game to the degree that they need to be, and like separating your own community doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And like that actually, that's a big topic right there. So you go in and we're talking about the community and then like where the formats stand, right? And we know that Magic is able to play a bunch of formats like Modern, Standard, and then like Commander, and Commander takes the majority of their interest.
Yeah.
So in terms of like Magic especially, like Commander is the biggest format for the player base, but it's hardly supported by like Wizards at all.
Really?
Yeah, like they don't really have big Commander events. They don't like it doesn't get prize supported.
I just hope that's premium.
Yeah, but they'll run Standard, they'll run Modern, they'll run Pioneer. There's another event too, I forgot, or like Legacy or whatever. But like, they do such a good job of balancing their formats and making sure everybody gets their time. And like Commander is just one of those, like, it was like a fan made format to begin with. So like the fact that they support it in terms of like releases is super cool. But Bushiroad is not doing it. Like,
no,
they're splitting their game into formats and then supporting unevenly. They're not giving us like the number of events that it really should have. We're not getting any prize support. We're like, it's just so many downsides that it's hard to get people to move from other card games into Vanguard. Like, I remember, because I came from Yu-Gi-Oh! And moving from Yu-Gi-Oh! To Vanguard, it was mainly a problem of I don't really have the money to keep up with Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively. And Vanguard was always like a for fun on the side thing. And then eventually, like, I put more time and I saw the depth of Vanguard and I started going to events. And, like, I think the community for Vanguard is one of the best. Like, I can't stand going to locals for Magic. I can't stand dealing with people for Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals. But, like, you go to Vanguard and everyone's friendly. Everyone, like, has their niche. And, like, there's some people you might not like and there's some people you do like. But
they're
like,
mostly hygienic.
for the most part.
The highest hygienic spot is Vanguard. You know?
But, like, it's just a much more welcoming community, and the community does so much in terms of drawing people into the game, and Bushiroad doesn't really do anything to draw people into the game other than, oh, here's the anime.
Yeah.
We're getting it done by Clamp. That's cool. It looks nice.
Hey, they got pizza watching, bro. Like Code Geass, like...
No. So, like, the most hyped thing that I've ever seen for Vanguard was Season 1's opening of Overdress.
Yeah,
that hit hard for no reason,
and that got people into the game. And then you don't keep that same energy.
Oh yeah,
it's so weird.
So that's where like Overdress comes into like a weird spot. And let's see how fast we can get through this to like close out for today. But when we came into Overdress, right? Everyone's like hearing new format. We're starting from zero, and then like they even made the announcement in like their product stream. They'd be like, "This is the last time."
I swear.
We are rebooting the game. Because they know the game's good.
Yeah.
They 100% know that like they can't get rid of this game. They're going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, right? One thing that took me right away when I was listening to this and watching like them saying, "Oh, we're changing to 5 nations. No longer 24 clans."
Yeah.
the Six Nation has its own whale. When they went through like the whole process.
Did you hear the backstory of Lyrical?
To a degree.
So they got so furious of Megalonica that they got on the back of a whale and it shot into outer space.
That's what's happening on Cray right now.
Literally, Zoo and Megalonica wanted to converge because their supply of their supplies were just running low.
Yeah.
And so they decided to share everything. And Bermuda was like, "Nah, we ain't doing that." And they went into space.
No, we're gonna go be space idols.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not today.
So after like I heard all that, the first thing that went through my head is like, this format is gonna be slow.
Oh yeah.
I was expecting just like, because I didn't expect them to like kill premium or anything. I was under the assumption of, we have 5 colors now. We're going to be able to print stuff that's going to be playable in a lot of different decks for premium. I really expected Overdress
Sleeve
to
tugging
be...
bow.
Well, yeah, that card exists, but I was expecting like archetypes to branch between clans. And my issue with Overdress, and the reason I don't play it personally, is because most of the stuff doesn't really translate to premium.
Yeah.
Like the power level of stuff and the just being able to mesh with other clans, it just doesn't work.
No, give it 3 more years.
Give it 3 more years.
Or give it 2 more years or a year.
Only one more time. Only one more time, guys.
So that's the thing, right? Like the second people are like, oh, we're gonna be able to have like small things we're gonna integrate into a clan, right? And I'm like, that is most likely not gonna happen. And then they asked me why. I'm like, because if they kept doing that for every set that dropped, eventually your clan is no longer Shadow Paladin or Luard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That deck now becomes Dark Keter Sanctuary X yada yada yada.
but to me, like, what's the difference between that and like Shadow Paladin only being Luard or Raging Form?
Or more.
I've been playing this game for 7 years.
Yeah.
It's been Raging Form, Luard since I started. Like it hasn't changed. Oh, Phantom Blaster Abyss was cool for a little while.
Are you ready for Drag Ruler?
I'm so excited for Drag Ruler. My other thing, like, especially with like the idea of like splitting to the format and like having that 5-color game, I am not a fan of the like the Shaman King, the Token Rambu, like the licensing.
The collab sets?
Yeah, the collab sets. Like
They're barely supported.
Yeah, they're barely supporting it, and you're taking that time away from expanding on the game. You're like, give it 3 more years. It's gonna take 6 if we just keep spitting out like that's what Weiss Schwartz is for. Give it to Weiss.
Give it to Weiss.
Yeah.
Like
So-
that's the whole point of that game, and they're spending money on licensing for these clans that nobody's ever gonna play. When that money could be going into the community, it could be going to supporting bigger events.
And they don't work for any other format.
No,
Except for
yeah.
Token Rambo if you're lucky.
Exactly, and even Token Rambu's horrible.
Who will never get a new G zone.
No, it won't.
Overdress
We had 5K crits for like 10 years, bro.
Yeah, like
Bro,
Overdress.
they would just have to hope for better Cray Elemental cards being made.
It's ridiculous.
Overdress for Token Rambo, like looking at the cards, you're like, man, these are like trial deck cards.
Yeah.
But especially being a premium player and looking at Overdress, that's how I feel about a lot of stuff. Where I look at it and I go, yeah, this just feels like a trial deck. Like I'm gonna sit down and my deck's gonna do one thing, and if they hit over trigger on me, I'm out.
So that's where like it kind of gets me. So I played the game. I say so too many times. And I look at it. I do not feel happy playing Overdress.
No.
But I still play it. Because like in my mind, I'm like, if I don't find something enjoyable in this format, I'm not supporting the game.
That's fair.
Yeah, man.
I enjoy premium enough that I don't feel the need to go and play Overdress. Like going into Overdress, I was really hoping to like find that like, to me, Luard is like baby boy. That's your avatar, whatever it is. But
So
like,
they make one in D, you play it, right?
Well, it's not even just that. It's just Overdress it put out 5 cool cards, and it just keeps spit like, oh, here's Zorga again. Oh, you like Bruce?
Orphis.
Yeah, like, and it's the same 5 things. Like, you're not giving me other things to play. You're not really expanding the format. So you're still looking at the same 5 decks just constantly. It's been, what, 4 sets of support now? 5?
Well, coming into set 5, we'll be getting supports. None of them are going to include, like the double rares and higher, and not going to include anything for those 5 decks. So, like, we're getting...
We had set 4 was
finally
the
getting
support
some
for
stuff.
that.
Yeah, so now we have PBO coming out. Dragonic Overlord the end.
But Phantom Blaster sucks.
We're getting,
that PBO actually is pretty decent, but that's a whole.
cool,
It's
but-
overdressed PBO.
yeah.
and then we're
Exactly.
getting 5 more different ride
Yeah, we're
lines
getting some new ride lines.
that are also dual nation. Like the ride
Yeah,
lines
I-
aren't dual nation, but their support cards are dual nation.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's United Sanctuary and Stoicheia.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that one's cool, but like, it's still just like Vanguard did so well early because it went so wide and it appealed to so many different aesthetics.
Yeah.
And Overdress doesn't feel like it's doing that. Like,
Yeah.
especially premium players, like, oh, say you're a DP player and you look at everything that's come out for Overdress, none of it's good. None of it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put it into my deck.
I come to like a weird scenario where if instead of V series they did overdress, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And like this is where I come in that the issue with G format. So before premium started getting more accumulated, I'm making up words now.
Accumulated.
Yeah,
Yeah, it got bigger.
it got more tamed.
Yeah.
Like it started like
Mellowing.
steroing out, and during that time, the biggest issue with G is where do you go past Stride?
Yeah.
Where do you go past G Guardian? Right? Like, what is there next? Because literally when G came out, you kind of like
Yeah.
killed your grade 3s from being like useful or like your boss cards,
Yeah.
right? Like they were just on stride. You can't just keep making on strides.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then that's why like they put GB2 like effects on your grade 3, so that's just like if you didn't think you went into your stride.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
Chrono Jet was a thing.
Yeah.
Chrono Jet had his own guard restrict. So
Yeah.
But like no one else would have that. So they would have to spend time making these new strides to say that you get all the skills of your Vanguard or you become your Vanguard after the
Yeah.
attack, which they are doing now, surprisingly.
coming after Crystal Luster like that.
Yeah, well, exactly. Or you get the
Yeah.
or you copy all the skills of your Vanguard, and they gave that to You may be going out.
Yeah, Chain
They
Ranker.
Yeah.
they
Chain
gave
Ranker.
Chain Ranker and Crystal Luster because those decks
Don't
didn't
do it.
have anything
Yeah.
Yeah.
past their Vanguard skills.
No.
Like you had Luard, right?
It didn't do anything
And-
without striding.
You would rather still go into Morfessa than
Yeah.
Then Chain
Chain
Ranker.
Ranker
Because it doesn't do anything.
because that's your only G card.
Exactly.
But if you wanted to play Raging Form, if you wanted to play Mordred, like you never had access to any, you would waste your time striding.
Yeah.
You striding would literally do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
also Royals only was like it suffered from the
So yeah, they had one choice if they wanted to stride into anything regular. That was All Mile. Like, why would I want to play Brave when I can play MLB?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was the problem with Royals was there was Alt Mile, there was Blasters, and then there was whatever Alfred was
four
doing.
Jewel Knights, yeah.
Yeah. The Soul Saver,
Yeah.
Tarna stuff with the. And that's another thing. Like, I really enjoyed what they had started with V. I think V was a really good approach, and they just power crept the format too quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually thought gift markers was a great idea.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people dislike. They're like, well, gift twos were a mistake, and I'm like, not. They happened already, but
Yeah.
like in all honesty, like having 6 different gift markers is good,
Yeah.
right? Like choosing where you go with that game.
And it wasn't like that you choose both of them.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
Sprite Brothers was
I
rising.
honestly
up
think
with-
gift markers are a lot better than Persona writing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think the fact that it gave flexibility to decks that didn't have flexibility, it gave kill options to clans that didn't have kill options. Like being able to put a crit on something is so impactful. And it really molds the format around it. But premium right now, I don't even know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just I feel like V was something that the game needed, and they kind of went overboard with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the marker aspect. So like when they started doing Force 2, Excel 2, Protect 2, like who in the right mind, if you played a Protect deck, was going to go into Protect 2? Like, oh, I have it's a dumbed down Force marker with a 10k shield.
Would have been cool if Protect 2 was just like, yeah, nega crit. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
From hand.
Yeah, that would have been like the same thing. Instead of having a PG, it's just it negs something else.
Yeah. Now I just get an intercept for
Yeah.
5k.
The only deck that really needed, they really wanted
popped
that was
the field.
Cocytus.
Yeah.
And nobody played
I think the
Cocytus.
only like deck that like was worth going into Protect 2 was Malkov Melik.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Malkov Melik would be like, oh, whoever has a Protect 2 marker is protected.
I think they need to
Yeah.
make more strides that go with the markers because right now
That's-
what we have is just Pale Moon, isn't it?
Well, they started making strides that generate markers,
Yeah.
right? for decks that are unable to do it, which I think is slowly seems kind of busted. Like if you wanted to play a D deck that later in the format becomes very good, and like you can just stride into like the Aquaforce one and be like, well, Flagbrick didn't have an Excel, but let's give it an Excel.
I mean, and you could look at like order bugs right now. Like they have the grade 1 that can generate protect.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, why? It doesn't make any
wild.
sense.
It's like
if you gave me that as a grade 1 in Luard where it creates a force,
Oh yeah.
the deck would be busted. But you're just going to hand like the most defensive deck in the game free protects from rear.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
Like,
Draw
I
3,
guess fine.
draw 1, 20k to my front row, generate a gift, 5 attacks. I'm going to restand this rear guard.
Oh, by the way, you can't G guard.
Hot take. Ban Mega Colony.
I think
Gridora is fine. I just don't think
Gridora is necessary. I don't think the dragon is fair. I think it's like almost unintended from Bushiroad's side.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they thought of playing such a hyper defensive deck alongside an engine that just generates so much value for no reason. And like having that inherent 5 attacks a turn, 20k, I'm going to draw 4 cards and I'm going to triple drive. So I'm getting +7 a turn. I'm creating a board just for swinging my Vanguard. And then you have like a rear guard that's going to countercharge every turn and recycle the card that restands my rears. Like, it's just got so much that other clans don't. That, like, yeah, Mega Colony sucked for a long time, but like...
Mega Colony topped out Worlds twice.
Yeah.
Gridora, that's how broken Gridora is.
Well,
as
and
a
that's what...
Well, like, I don't even
Gridora
think
has
it's
always-
Gridora's just like a good addition to the scenario, right?
Gridora is a thing that's necessary to balance hyper aggressive. Like, it's there to balance out these clans that just want to play 4 grade 3s, like Luard, like where you just want to play, oh, I'm just going to play Dragfall. You're not allowed to do that against Megas.
Yeah.
It stops Ezel from just destroying you for no reason and like keeping their board. It's just there as like a counter to things, which I think naturally is the idea of Vanguard, is where you're gonna sit down and to a degree it's rock paper scissors when you flip your Vanguard, but there's most of those matchups you still have that opportunity to outplay your opponent. Mega Colony right now doesn't give you that option. Like back in the day, Gridora, you could play around it. You could leave stuff standing. You could damage deny Gridora and get away with it. But now, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now there's no counterplay, because even if you damage deny them, they're just going to gain so much value out of nothing. Like they're going to draw 4 cards, they're going to twin drive, they're going to do this, they're going to put pressure on you, and they're just going to outvalue you no matter what you do.
If you think about when you start the
Bushiroad's way to do this, just they get rid of the book.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they either choice restrict or just get rid of it entirely.
Yeah.
The one thing that I could say about Mega Colony that people just don't take into account is like the turn you ride the grade 3 and the books are ready and drop, you draw 3.
Yeah.
Okay. You proceed to do something that delays your opponent so that you can rebuild your hand. That's its purpose.
Yeah.
Is to delay your opponent so that you can rebuild and be able to guard for like at least 2 more turns. And your opponent's now delayed. You barely had to commit to it. And then your preceding turn, you draw 3 more cards.
I think the
You've
book
committed
should have
nothing
said
to the
they are.
board. You're getting free aggression and you're rebuilding a hand for 0 cost. Like, and then the Gridora on top of that, no G guards. So now you've shut off a lot of options that clans have. Like the whole point of like this premium collection is you're gonna get a stride that's gonna get you out of bad situations. Like we're not really getting like closers. We're getting things that fill niches that we didn't have before. Like Shadow Paladins, we didn't really have board retire to that degree.
Yeah.
And like giving us a restanding Vanguard, I think is necessary, because the only access we had to something like that was Spectral.
Your board retire is hilarious.
It's so
because
cool.
before it was always you have to sack the 3
Exactly.
for them to sack the 2.
Yeah.
And now you finally like, this is the reverse, boys. You're ready.
yeah.
I sack 2, I draw, and
Yeah.
you're popping
And
3.
I'm getting value out of it. But like it's not a closer like Morfessa is. It's something that's going to be able to extend the game time. And all of these G guards being able to give you outs to over triggers, give you outs to Morfessa, give you outs to guard restrict, which have been dominating the format for so long. And then Gridora just goes, no thank you. You're not allowed to G guard. You need to have an extra copy of your grade 3 and then still stride. And you're not allowed to call from your deck. So half the decks in the game are dead.
Yeah.
Like everything calls from deck, bro. And if it doesn't, like, okay, I guess you have kind of a good matchup. And then they go, but you can't G guard, you can't stop my 5 swings a turn.
Yeah.
There's no interaction now. to turn off the interaction doesn't make much sense when you're also just building so much like value to hand.
Yeah, you're not losing anything. Like you're
Yeah.
literally drawing 3, able to commit a field because you're drawing 3 and not even using what you had already in hand.
And it's giving power to the board.
Yes.
You're like
You're giving 10K to your current board.
Yeah.
And then you proceed the following turn to now give 20K to your board.
and draw 4.
And Gridora also gets 10K. And then the card she calls out gives themselves 10K, or the rear they stand 10K. And I'm like, all right,
It's just so much value in a deck that doesn't deserve it.
Like how we got rid of the Genesis loop, and now we have like
or like Gastille, bro. Like
Yeah.
we banned Gastille because you're the idea of having 2 grade 3s on one card is just too much value. It's just too much. And if you're gonna tell me that Order Colony doesn't do too much,
have you played against it?
I think that's my.
Yeah,
I think this is where my main issue is. Like they literally designed Mega Colony with a card to stride into if your hand was low.
yeah.
And then now you just
And now
don't
you
use
never
it.
have to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally never overwhelm.
Yeah, like you're literally overwhelming before you go into Gridora, and I'm like,
Yeah. Like what's the point of that?
what's the point of this, man?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
I foresee, hot take, choice restrict Gridora Stride with the grade 3 from D.
The dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's another way to really approach that. I don't think banning the book is the right move.
I mean, if you choice restrict the Gridora stride with him, like you can probably just do it somewhere else.
But
Like
then if you don't have the Gridora Stride on top, like what other clans are gonna play that? Like Great Nature
Neonectar.
Neonectar is so bad already, bro. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Give them draw 3.
Neonectar and
They need tokens.
What's the other Great Nature?
Like
Great Nature gets
the-
more value than the
Yeah.
books do anyway. It's
Like,
just
what are we gonna do? Like, ride that when we can ride Big Belly? And
It's just being
Well,
able to combine
You already
the-
have your whole hand in your deck if
Yeah,
you G guarded twice.
exactly.
Yeah, but
like
why-
you don't need it.
yeah.
But Gridora being able to stop your opponent from playing and then also generating so much value, it's just two things that weren't really made to go together, and it just does it too well. So I mean, I don't think Bushiroad's gonna hit it anytime soon. I think probably after Springfest season is
Probably.
over, they'll probably go. Maybe Order Colony had too high of a conversion rate here. Like
Springfest is the testing. In my opinion, I think Springfest is a testing ground to BCS.
yeah,
It's always been you're playing best of one to then now know what you can go into BCS with a mindset of what you have in the meta.
Yeah. It's a good idea to figure out what is a problem in a less competitive format, and then be able to hit that before problems occur. Because if old BCS seasons, bro, it was like, okay, 90% of the people are just gonna play Ezel,
Yeah.
and then there's gonna be like 2 Gridora players top cut because they beat all the Ezel players, and then all of these rogue decks just kind of get screwed. And I don't want BCS to be 90% Mega Colony and then like some Narukami Vanquisher. Because
I mean, you can play around Narukami. You just have to take your time with it.
Well, yeah, but like I think that's one of the few decks that have like a decent matchup into bugs. I think Jewel Knights. So you're gonna see a lot of like what we have right now, but bugs just does too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's my quarrel with some decks. Like you shouldn't be able to do so much without spending that same amount.
There's
of
no
resource.
commitment.
Yeah, and that's where like my angst with Grand Blue is. Like it's such a good deck,
Yeah.
right? But every resource you use just returns to you.
It does.
Like
That's been the reason of Grand Blue.
Yeah, and I think Grand Blue does it well. I think Greed Shade's a little excessive with like being able to recur like over trigger 50k shields.
that's everyone's not as Greed Shade.
Yeah, Greed Shade's kind of a problem. I don't think Columbard is an issue, like being able to put one piece to the grave and then summon something. Like I think that's fine. I don't think Grand Blue's like necessarily a problem because there are decks that beat it. Like Narukami naturally beats it. Order Bugs is naturally beating it. Like, and the Gridora Stride existing is like that counter to stuff like that.
Yeah, because you can't do your Denial Griffin
Yeah.
for Grand Blue. So
Well, you can't even play your own turn because
Yeah.
you can't summon from the grave.
Yeah,
So like the
you
deck
ride
just turns
Beatrice
off.
and then just Soul Blast one to get a Protect marker.
Yeah.
And do you think decks should have that ability to just shut down your opponent?
I think it's a necessary, like especially introducing control into a game like this. I think it's necessary to a degree. I just think decks that have that ability to just turn off a deck shouldn't also be able to turn off every other deck.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
I think you're
Luard not being able to play doesn't make
yeah.
much sense. Like I can't use at all my like value engines. So I have to play so slow. I have to play grade 2 game for so long, and then I still get outvalued. Like, it's just so much that deck does that shuts off everyone else.
I think every deck should have a version of a Denial Griffin that matches their archetype.
Yeah.
I don't, because we see it. So like Pale Moon has it where you spin it to soul. Kagero has Denial Griffin. We have it in Great Nature.
Yeah,
we have Cannoneer.
Narukami binds.
Narukami binds. Narukami literally has
Hetero
an
Hound.
interceptor that literally should just
Like, it's a cool
retire.
flavor for it. Like,
Head
I think
around.
if, like, Shadow's got, like, retire 2, pop something.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'd be fair. But, like, I don't know. I think
League
I don't
Joker
think,
can only
like,
get the
giving
back
everyone
row.
a denial is an answer, because Ghidorah will still just turn it off.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking like, I know that Gridor is going to turn it off, but I just think that every deck should have a version. You shouldn't be like, this deck has a Denial Griffin, so I'm going to play it.
No, yeah, I agree.
So I think I'm going to cut it here because we're talking about Mega Colony and all that.
We're just going on a tangent. It's never going to end.
Nope.
Yeah. So that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Nick, for coming in for today. Actually, with the Mega Colony topic, we're going to be probably talking about that a lot more with our next Team Eclipse member, Logan, coming in Thursday next week. So that's going to be great. Do stick around. We're not doing it Tuesday next week because we just finished now. So get ready and wait for Thursday. And
Send all the hate mail.
Yeah. Just send all the hate mail.
Yeah.
And on the following Tuesday, we'll be back on track to do our Tuesday podcast. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming by. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time in the dojo.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching The Dojo. If you would like to see more card fight content like this, make sure to catch The Dojo and Naru Samurai on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Spotify, and Apple Podcast.